for the story. I am here with two of my lovely dear friends, Zoe and Dezzles. Yay!
Hi.
Hello.
We're actually going to do a very specific version of Bitch, I'm Here for the Story for the next foreseeable future. As you know, this is a new thing we're doing with a book club sort of thing, honoring the Honorable Miss Franny Fisher and her murder mysteries, where we are comparing the books to the amazing show, which you can watch on Netflix and probably other things. I'm not entirely sure where else you can watch it because I'm American and dumb.
I've not seen it anywhere else yet. I mean, we have a local streaming service called Stan in Australia, and I don't think it's on there.
Oh, so there you go.
I've only seen it on Netflix.
Oh. So, essentially, we are our Murder, Medics, and Maid-hem edition. If you're listening to the podcast version of this, I need you to imagine me doing the biggest Muppet face ever in that moment because I like stupid puns. We are starting, of course, with the pilot, Cocaine Blues, which is also, incidentally, the name of the book, Cocaine Blues. The book was written in I guess it was published in 1989. I imagine she probably wrote it prior to that date. So let's first start with our amazing protagonist, Franny Fisher, in the book. She is, we open up on a dinner party of sorts, where a lady is getting her jewels stolen. What are our first impressions of book version of Franny Fisher?
She's so young.
She really is.
She's a baby. This is like the uppity teenage daughter that pisses off everyone at the dinner party.
People really don't seem to approve of her sometimes. But
it's interesting that she's so much younger in the books. I mean, obviously, she's the original version of her, so that's how she was intended, I suppose. But Essie Davis makes way more sense to me as Franny Fisher.
I'm still not entirely sure how old she is in the books.
It kind of, I don't think they've said, but it sort of alludes, they call her a young woman, and while I would not dare to call Essie Davis old by any means, I feel like young woman usually indicates a woman in her mid-20s or earlier.
I feel like she's a little bit like she's low 20s at most, because there's some reference to like somebody not quite pushing marriage on her yet because she's so young.
Oh, I wish I had that passage.
Yeah.
But Essie Davis, obviously, who's an amazing actress, Australian actress.
Oh, she's fantastic.
So good.
If you're familiar with Game of Thrones, she played Lady Crane, I think that was her character. She was in The Babadook. Woman of many faces, she's very transformative, most famously known as her role as Franny Fisher. But she's born in 1970, which I think is great, because then you've got Franny as this scandalous, single woman going about, and for the 1920s, she should have been married by now, but she's like, nah, fuck that, I don't want to do that. And she's just like, I love her so much.
It's literally off just being like, I do what I want.
Yes, exactly. I do what I want. So she's,
basically, yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of what I feel like her first introduction in the book is essentially one of her father's guests gets their necklace stolen, and she's like, I got this, I'll save you so much embarrassment, just let me do my thing, Dad. So
it also helps show off that she's calm and analytical about the situation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And still fairly charming. I do appreciate when someone can be calm, analytical, and not a total asshole. I'm looking at you, Cumber bitch. No, that's not his fault. That's how his character's written. But that's a gripe for another time, how Sherlock is portrayed very often. Anyway.
And then I feel like that's a big part of her, though, is being able to be that incredibly charming, charismatic person, but still verbally and intellectually lash you with a smile.
Oh, it's just, such a backhanded compliment, you might not realize you just got burned until, you've taken 3 steps away, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that carries to both the book and the show, which I do appreciate, that she's not any less clever in either.
Mm-hmm.
Her motivation, obviously, because we start in England. Oh, no, Paris. Are we in England or Paris? I forget.
England. I think.
England.
Yes,
Yeah,
she
because
spent
they
time
remember
in
her coming from London.
Right, she spent time in Paris. Forgive me. Sorry. Book gets one thing I will say is book gets a little more flowery in its exposition than I'd like sometimes. I don't know if that was your guys' experience. Sometimes you'd be like, wait, what? Reread that. Oh my gosh.
3 passages on her clothes. Now I'm confused.
Oh no, you're so right though. Which, don't get me wrong, one of my favorite things about the show is Miss Fisher's wardrobe. Like, we can't deny.
Oh, her clothes.
Just everything she's wearing is amazing. Oh my gosh, it's just so great. But having it described, and I'm really intrigued because Carrie Greenwood, if I recall correctly, she's an author and she's a lawyer, but clearly knows a ton about fashion of the time because she just says, "Oh, wearing this mod designer," and apparently that's supposed to tell me enough, and I'm like, what?
I think I knew like one name that they dropped in there, which was maybe 2. I know that they definitely mentioned Elizabeth Arden in there.
Yes, and that because I think they're talking about, is that when they're talking about the spas? Because that's
I think that's when she's getting fitted for the gown.
Oh,
the
okay.
gown.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but
I think you're correct. But it was just that, just saying all of those, I'm like, this means nothing to me. I'd love to look at pretty pictures, but I don't know Carrie Greenwood. I am plebeian swine. I don't know.
But, the one weird thing about the flowery exposition that you mentioned for me is that because I know Melbourne, occasionally when they start mentioning street names and on the corner of like this street and this street, I'd get entirely distracted just trying to work out where it is in Melbourne off the top of my head.
No, but it's funny that you mentioned that because and someone brought this up in the Discord discussion, is that there's so much description of clothing but not so much about location. And I think it is with the idea of, well, that mindset of I grew up here, I live here, I just need to say the street intersections and you'll know. You just know. Because I feel like the actual exterior was never quite given the same attention as, say, the beating on Franny's dresses. Which,
That's true.
you know what? It's okay. That's cool. That's fine. But it is something interesting. But I was very curious about, with your experience, since you've been to Melbourne and like that's, you know, the area more. I'm like, was that a bit more clear to you about what?
It was pretty clear, but I would get like a little bit distracted trying to like work out, okay, if we're heading from here to here, how would you do that? And then I'm like, we're talking about Melbourne in the 1920s. It's probably going to be completely different how you do that.
I'm very intrigued. I feel like we should all go visit you in Melbourne and just be like, okay, where do we go from here?
For science.
For science!
We need to do this for science.
Yeah, you need to come down here. Explore Melbourne, go to all of the locations, and do a live stream talking about one of the books from the Windsor. That's obvious.
Oh my gosh! I feel like, all right, let's done. Let's make this plan.
Done. Okay.
Quick, get
Australia
the fund.
It is.
Get the funding. Get me a venture capitalist. Bringing this somewhat back to less of a tangent. We'll get on that a lot, folks. I apologize. I'm not really sorry. It's what we do. One big difference, I would say, that I find so much more strong in the show is her motivation from going from London to Australia.
Yes.
Because honestly, what struck me at the very beginning of the book was, that's her dad. Like, because in the show, he's not around until like way further into the series. And it was honestly, I stopped reading for a minute and I went back and read it a couple of times because I was like, the character still fits with him. But having them up against each other after having seen the show felt very strange.
Yeah, we start out with her living with her parents, which is a little odd. Des, what were you going to say? Sorry.
It's interesting because in the series, she's coming back because of the guy
Murdoch Foyle.
Killed. Murdoch Foyle, is being released from prison. Whereas in the book, it's literally someone was like, "Hey, you've got an analytical
You're
mind.
mighty
Solve this
clever.
problem.
We need a clever girl.
Pay you to go go look into this.
Exactly.
And she's like, well, I am bored.
Yeah, and I feel like it's such a much stronger character choice to have her go for other reasons and then just kind of stumble across this mystery rather than, hey, you seem a mighty clever girl. Go find out what's wrong with our daughter. And she's like, well, I'm bored, so I'll do it. But I also think, and I would pose this to you, is for those of you listening, Des, Zoe, and I are all obsessed with the show, and we have been. I think I infected the two of them. Was this both recently? Is that one?
Yes.
Okay, so I infected them recently. We've all been obsessed. We've been talking about it, and then we decided, let's put this obsession to use. But none of us had read the books until Zoe had talked about picking up the book version, because she was like, I finished the series and I still want more. And the movies aren't going to come out until a while. By the way, there will be movies, and we're very excited.
Movies, and I'm very happy about that.
We're very Muppet flaily about that. I'm so excited. But none of us have read the book so far, so bear that in mind. We are literally taking this book by book. So while we have foreknowledge of how the series took things, we don't have foreknowledge of the books after this. So we've only read up to Cocaine Blues, unless these monsters have cheated. I've tried not to go ahead. Good.
I try and keep, like, any author. I try and only read one book from any given author a month.
Okay,
just to
cool.
keep myself reading variety.
That's fair. I like that. So, one thing I will say, and I will let you guys kind of expound on this, is what I think they were doing is I feel like so far these books are probably more episodic and don't tie as much together. Whereas you kind of need an overall arc for a season of a show. So I feel like Murdoch Foyle was put in for that reason. But in doing so, they somehow created a stronger bond for this character. And I feel like this is something that the books are probably going to be at a disadvantage in regard to the show, is character development and character arc. Because I feel like a TV show probably looks at that projection a bit more and making that a more dramatic, visible arc than say episodic books, which are more focused on that this crime of this time and da 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 da. Like,
I feel like that's also very like mid to late 80s, early 90s mystery, like murder mystery pulp book style. Is that everything is very insular. You know, you have your development for the book. And maybe it stretches out later, but that's more kind of coincidence.
Yeah, I'd agree. One of the things I am curious about is whether any of the books actually touch on the overarching storyline from season one. Like, if they've looked at it and been like, okay, we want to take this one particular story and mesh it out over the season.
Yeah, I'm also very curious about that. I'm a little... There's a line, and it's a very throwaway line, so you might not have remembered it, but they do mention her sister having died from influenza before they got rich. I think it's influenza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm like, damn it! Does that mean, like, there's no... Nothing?
Yeah.
So...
That also
Who
seems like
made
an
the
odd...
comment is the question.
It was a description, I think.
It's in a... I think it's when she's talking to Dot, which, whoa, we need to get to Dot in a bit. Just put a pin in Dot, because oh shit, Dot. Oh, we need to talk about Dot.
Dot.
Oh, Dot.
Because if Franny was a kid when her sister passed away, there's every possibility that it might just come out that her parents lied to her.
That's true. Who knows? I'd be very intrigued if that was a thing that happened. I kind of now you've put that kernel of thought in my brain. I'm like, oh, I want Des to be right now, because I love the Murdoch Foyle arc. I think it's so well done and so creepy, and we will obviously talk about that more as we move forward. I'm going to go with the assumption, for the most part, that if you're listening to this, maybe you haven't seen Miss Fisher all the way through, so I'm not going to try and spoil anything. We will occasionally reference...
I've only seen, like, 3 episodes from season 1.
You are a liar.
No, because you and Zoe had already watched through, like, most of the season when I came over.
What? Oh, shit! Okay, well, now we need to, like, go back and watch those, Des. I can't believe you haven't caught up on your own.
Well, I was going to, but then we discussed doing the podcast. I'm like, okay, I'll go through, I'll read the books, and then watch the episode.
Oh, that's fair.
I'm doing it the other way around.
I like that. So we're not going to talk about that, also for Dez's sake. But
so I know how it ends.
Yeah, it's such a good, but it's such a good overall arc, and I feel it's woven into the other stories so well that I'm very curious. I'm really hoping you're right, that we'll run into it later.
Also, just from a story standpoint, it's a weird thing to give a character to have a dead sibling and have it never come up again.
Yeah, I would agree. It's just a sort of throwaway of, well, we were poor and my sister died of an illness before we got the title and got money, so... And it's just sort of this weird throwaway.
Yeah, and that's one of those things I read that I'm like, that's either something that's very important as a character and is just going to come up later and someone's going to be able to go, ha ha ha, I remember that line.
Yeah, because maybe even it's possible Franny's even lying. Who knows? Maybe Franny was like, I didn't want to tell you at the time. Or maybe Carrie Greenwood wrote it and then decided we're going to have her not be fully truthful in that moment because it's so painful. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe she just doesn't know what happened. I don't know. Before we get to Dot, because we're going into that territory, I do want to bring up Dr. Macmillan!
Yes!
Friggin' Dr. Macmillan! And the line, she got more Scottish as her anger rose or whatever. Okay, that line brought me such life. But also, I was very sad, suddenly, that the actress... who is, they didn't make her actually Scottish. She's obviously from a Scottish background, but she's been living in Australia long enough that she has an Australian accent. And I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, what her relationship to Franny is. Because in the book, they clearly know each other before they leave. And they clearly have
kind of bond on the boat.
Yeah, but it seems like they might know each other from before that, because she does say when she's talking to Bobby, whatever his friggin' name is, right? The swindler,
Yeah.
Who she exposes up there, and then, he's down there in Australia being a dumbass. She does tell him that he can mess with anyone but Dr. Macmillan, and which means she has no problems with him messing with, the politician whose name they've forgotten.
Wait, Sanderson MP.
Sanderson, which we have not gotten to that, but that's the name in the show later. Okay, do you remember this? This is the name of Jack's father-in-law, former father-in-law. But it's George Sanderson, if I recall correctly. So I'm like, ooh, is this gonna be a thing? So now I'm like,
it was also the police commissioner.
Yeah, he was the police commissioner.
Yeah.
He was not he's not a politician in that one. I mean, it's kind of still political in its own right, but now I'm like going,
good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Is Robert one guy and George in the books is another, and maybe they combined them? I'm really curious now to be like, is this gonna be a scandal later? I'm very excited. So I don't trust Robert Sanderson at all.
The funny thing for me about Robert Sanderson is up until I think it's about 38% of the way through the book, because I started highlighting them, is they always refer to him as Robert Sanderson MP. And they're like, the moment I started highlighting the moments when it happened is the first time they're like, Robert Sanderson responded to Hardy argument. I'm like, wait a second. Oh, sorry, Hardy agreement. I'm like, wait a second. They didn't put the MP on that one. But it just, the way people respond to him makes me equate him to, who's the Prime Minister in Doctor Who?
The lady?
Yeah.
Who gets ousted? I can't remember her name. Doesn't she look tired, lady?
Yeah.
I went to Google it. Harriet Jones.
Harriet Jones. I was like, I can see her in my mind's eye.
I went to Google it. One of the autofills is literally Doctor Who Prime Minister tired.
I love it. Yes.
Just every time they're like Robert Sanderson MP, and just like.
Yeah, right? No, and I can see that, and I just don't quite trust him because of his last name, so I'm like, will you be suspicious later? But on the point is she clearly is fond of him, and for all we know, doesn't know like, because if they had met on the boat, she wouldn't really know Mac that much longer than she's known Sanderson. So I'm like, why is he not also on that list? It's just Mac. Like, you can't fuck with Mac. So I'm like, clearly you've got a different relationship. And obviously the age difference is much more in the book, because she's described as a, you know, an older woman. Not old, but like...
It seems like her age
she's described as a middle-aged woman.
The TV series is consistent with her age in the book.
Exactly. And then now Franny is now also in that like late 30s or mid to late 30s.
I don't know. I kind of just assumed that it was like family friends.
Yeah, and I'm very curious how that's going to unfold, because one thing I do really like, just to bring it back to the show, is at the end, is the very end of the show where she says, to my oldest friend's newest venture. And I love that line, but I'm not sure how that applies in the book. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah. Because also, like, she has a very, like, maternal response to her. Like, she refers to her as a child so much, and I love that. She's like, child, you do not know what you're talking about. And I'm like, yes, you angry Scottish lady, yes.
I love it. If you can listen to the audiobook, the woman who does the voice, it just such a great Macmillan. Like, I giggle because she literally did get more of a heavier Scottish accent as she got angry, and I'm like, yes, I love you. You're amazing.
I also, so because she was so specific about the fashion, I actually looked up Mac's fashion.
Oh, now I'm sad I didn't do that.
It's so in the book, Mac's clothes are actually almost dead on from the book to, it's always men's cuts, and it's like the houndstooth and the plaids and like heavier cloths. Her hair, however, because in the show it's always pulled back.
It's just pulled back, yeah.
But in the show, it is, and there was a name for the haircut. I'm like, and I looked it up, and it is like a mostly men's haircut, but also it was a short cut that's actually very similar to my hair, which is longer on one side and then very, very short on the other. And always like slicked back and very tight into like almost like waxed down against the face with like the tendrils coming down the cheek. And that's what Mac's hair is like. And I saw him like, why didn't you do that for the show?
It might have been, maybe they didn't have the budget for a nicer wig. I don't know.
Yeah.
She didn't want to cut her hair, but.
I mean, that's all fair. I saw him like, that's, because the funny thing is like when that came up, I was like, because there's some description of her that alluded to her being a lesbian, and it was something in connection with her appearance, and I can't remember what it was, but I was like, I saw that and I saw the clothes, and I'm like, I understand how you have now made this a very like masculine lesbian air quotes woman.
But let's be honest, if we all saw Dr. Macmillan as she is described in the book, wouldn't we all be quite a bit gay?
Yes. Yeah, it's true. I loved that.
I mean, ignoring that's already what's going on here, but anyway. Huge crush on Dr.
I want all of her clothes. I want all of those suits. Like, anytime I see a woman in a suit in a TV show or a movie that fits really well, I'm just like,
Tailored suits, man. Like, a good tailored suit on anyone. Just, so good. So, we will now move on. And talking about comparisons. Dorothy freaking Williams!
Holy shit.
What?
Differences.
Okay, first, is her name actually Dorothy Williams in the book? I forget. Does she have a different last name?
She has a different one.
I don't recall. I know she's definitely Dorothy.
Well, yes.
But I don't remember if she has a last name in the book.
No, I think she does. When she first sits down, she introduced herself. But I think I remember it being something like it's Dorothy Brown or something. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I want to say it's Brown.
And I'm also very curious why that name change, if that's so. Is there another character we're going to meet that's something Williams, and then they've just combined them? Because I know that can happen, so I'm very curious. But let's... Zoe, as Des looks that up, would you like to recount for the audience how we meet Dot in the book?
So, in the book, we meet Dot when Franny is getting lunch at a cafe on a busy street and watching some admittedly arrogant young men prancing about across the street. and she notices this girl who seems kind of out of it, kind of in a daze, and carrying a knife, and goes, "Ha, you should come with me." Takes the knife, sits down with her, asks her what she's doing. She goes, "Well, that guy over there, I'm going to kill him." That is how we meet Dot. Dot is waiting in public with a knife to murder someone.
About to shank a dude to death.
Yeah, but a few moments later, after she sits down, she makes she just turns to Franny. She's just like, "Nice girls don't smoke." And I'm like, "You're there to kill someone."
It's like, you are literally there to murder a man. What are you talking about?
To be fair, good reasons for murdering a man.
I mean, he is a terrible person and, like, insulted her honor and got her kicked out of her work without a reference, which back then, as, like, they make very clear, gets you fucked over. Hard to get.
I thought he had also, like, attempted to force himself on her.
He had attempted to, and she beat him up as a result of it. Yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
He didn't actually succeed, and because she beat him up and was like, "Get off me," that's when he told his mom, "She's been throwing herself at me. Bitch, please."
Bryant.
Dot Bryant. Okay, so that is, okay.
Thank you.
Let's put a pin in that for a thought bubble, because I feel like maybe we'll run into someone further down. I'm just curious why that name change. We'll ponder that in the little
Yeah.
In comparison to her book introduction, Des, would you like to regale us with how we meet Dot in the show? Precious little cinnamon bun that she is.
She's Lydia's maid in this one. She's there.
I mean, she's there, but she's like...
she's just kind of hanging out, and she discovers the body, doesn't she? Is it her?
I think so. We don't actually know. We see him collapse. And then, and that's another thing, is John Andrews is not dead in the book.
Oh, yeah, there is
It does not actually start with a murder. In fact, if I recall correctly, is there an actual murder in this first? There is not.
Nope.
Cocaine Blues does not actually have a murder in the book.
There's several attempts at murder, but there's no actual murder.
But I do want to...
This one's based where Lydia succeeds in her plan before getting caught.
Fair. So one thing I feel like I just want to bring up real quick is Dot in the show is very quiet, very timid, so Catholic, and is afraid of electricity because it's very new in houses. And she's like, "My priest says that putting electricity through wires is unnatural and it'll go to the molten core of the earth and destroy us all." And you're like,
"Oh, Dot.
You sweet little cinnamon bun. I can't even." So she's having trouble with, like, the phone ringing, and you're just like, "Oh, she can't do it." She's like, "What is this? It's new. It's different."
Right, Jack's offhand comment about how it seems like that their phone isn't working.
Yes, his little just like, "Seems your phone's not working," and she's like, because Dorothy won't answer the phone. Oh gosh, yes. So Jack, who does not actually ever meet Lydia in this, because in the book, there are two cases going on, and they are not related at all. So that'll be an interesting way to separate that, which I was actually surprised that they weren't related.
Same. I kept
there's a
expecting them to
line
run into each other somehow.
There's a line in there where I think it's W.P.C. Jones or Women Police, whatever her name, whatever the acronym is. Jones.
It is
Women Police Constable.
WPC. Oh, okay, Constable. Okay, W.P.C. Jones. When she's there, I believe she sees like a pretty young woman peek her head in, and then when she's waiting, if I recall correctly, it's either her or it's Alice talking about it. I can't remember. It's a little foggy. But someone sees a pretty young woman poke their head in that they don't recognize, and I'm like, that's probably Lydia. And then it's never addressed again.
Oh, yeah.
It's just this very, throwaway. I'm like, who was that then? Why would you bother to... 'Cause she's apparently very nicely dressed, so I just assumed fucking Lydia, right? It's gotta be. But no, they're totally unrelated. Freaking Lydia. Okay.
Oh, Lydia.
Since we're on this, let's just unpack what is Lydia.
She's two very different things in
She is
the book versus the show.
so different. And I'm not going to lie, in the show, had they given us more probable suspects, I would have not immediately suspected that Lydia as the murderer and the cocaine boss. Just because I feel like she was a bit more subtle, other than the T-slip. I was like, that's weird. But you could almost, like, dismiss the T-slip with, like, maybe now that her husband's been poisoned from sugar, she's just off the shit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, if I hadn't have read the book, I probably mightn't have picked... I would have just assumed that, yeah, no, she wants her coffee black because of, you know... sorry, I froze for a moment. It's like,
You're like, But no, it makes sense. If you're like, no, I can't touch sugar anymore because now it just makes me think of arsenic. I would get that. I would understand that.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe that's what that was. But they didn't really give you a viable, from a show standpoint, an alternative. So when the fact that it's like, I will say though, I had kind of assumed when I first watched the show, when she first showed up, was when you found out, J.A. Imports is importing the cocaine, is that she found out he was doing that, and that's why she killed him?
Yeah.
So I will say there was a little bit more mystery of like, oh shit, okay. No, you are the mob boss. All right, cool.
One thing I did like about her in the books, though, is she had a lot more levels in the book, I felt like.
Yeah.
She did. She got more screen time.
She had more screen time, which made it easier to provide that. But, like, she definitely had, like, the social face that she put out of this, like, very quiet, timid, like, I'm going to go to and cling to my husband for everything. And then Franny goes to lunch with her, and everyone's like, I mean, if you want your taxes done, like, talk to her, because she takes care of all of her husband's business. And, like, she was a much stronger character.
She was more multifaceted.
Capable.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that I feel like I immediately, like, you suspect her more because her drastic, like, oh, Franny, I'm so frail. And then, boom, and you're like, bitch! You are fooling no one.
Yeah.
No one is fooled.
But as a general, like, as a general thing, I like the fact that it seemed like all of the women in her circle kind of played that game.
Yeah.
Like, at the party, they were one set of people, and then they're, like, planning each other's businesses and, like, running all of these organizations, like, when all of the men have gone off to play their games. Like, the women are sitting around running the companies.
Yeah. It does give you
it's a shame that part kind of disappeared in the episode.
Yeah, because you do get a bit more... Like, I understand there wasn't really much time for it, but you do get a bit more of a view of the dangers of Melbourne society in general. Like, it's not just the cutthroats of literal, like, cutting of throats or whatnot. It's just... all these people are very, like, two-faced, and it's kind of just... She's got to navigate through that.
I feel like that was one of the big differences overall between the book and the show, is this was a very high society drama, whereas the show was a murder mystery.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Aunt Prudence does not exist in this book, and I'm very curious if she will make an appearance later.
I feel like she will.
Like, right? Like, I feel like she's so important that she probably will. But I wonder if she'll be more of, like, a side character in the books later. I will, however, commend the writers for including her in a very, like, super easy, let's quickly get this exposition out of the way. Because we're, like, the book does I have to go to every house and do these dinner parties and introduce myself into society. Whereas with this, it's like, everyone still kind of remembers you in a good way, whereas, like, the one time she's run into someone who remembers her family in the book, it's like, your father owes me money. Oh, shit. But Prudence is just like, oh, here, let me point out people to you. This person, this person, this person. And it was a kind of, like, gossipy, nice way to be like, here are our suspects. So I do kind of go, all right, you know, that's a very nice, like... We have to get through introducing like, a pilot has so much pressure on it, so I do understand that things were going to get cut. But goodness gracious, and I think we can agree on this, I am very sad that one of the things that did get cut was the Princess DeGrasse!
Oh, she was so
amazing. Also, Sasha's very different.
Yes, Sasha is very different.
I had a very different picture of him in my head to what he came across as in the in the series, well, in the episode. I'm not entirely sure how to word it though. I spent like the last day trying to work out how to word it after watching the episode. I'm like,
I pictured him being a bit more. I feel like he was a bit more clever in the show than he was. Like, he prided himself on being very clever in the books, but you're like, you're kind of a dumb kid, aren't you? You're pretty, but dumb. You're a bit pretty dumb.
But he was also, like, in the books, he is straight up like, I mean, she didn't pay me to sleep with her tonight, but eventually she will.
Right? And you're just like, ew!
Like,
Sasha!
Like, this wasn't a, like, they had a very, like, passionate one night, da-da-da. Also, she has one of my favorite lines about Sasha when Dot is talking to the two of them and she's sitting in bed with Sasha and he says something about leaving. And she makes a comment, I don't remember, I wish I had highlighted it, but something along the lines of, while she could, what was it? Basically, she didn't trust Sasha to leave him alone.
Yeah.
And I think the description was, you can always explain a man in your hotel room bed, but a corpse is much more difficult.
Ah!
Yes. Oh, did I highlight that one?
Such a good line.
But it was again one of those very, like, she's very smart about it, but also, like, she doesn't trust Sasha in the books.
No, and I honestly, with good reason.
Partially because of the princess.
Yeah, because the prince. Oh, guys, if you haven't had a chance to, like, if you're watching, listening to this, and you've just got the show, please go read the book just for the Princess DeGrasse.
So
I would watch an entire show about the Princess DeGrasse.
She is sassy and Russian and like old Russian lady, and she's not having any of your bullshit. And you're like, yes, Queen DeGrasse. Fuck this princess bullshit, Queen.
I also feel like she's the type of person who would, if she did eventually was just like wanted to get rid of Sasha, she'd be like, I have good men for you. Come here, you marry.
Like, right, go, bye, gone.
What's the comment that Franny has? I think it's the Russians were as amoral and attractive as kittens.
I forgot that line. That's beautiful. Oh, see, next time we do this, I got to be better about highlighting. I listened to the audiobook for this one, and I am regretting it just for the fact that I can't highlight anything.
All right.
But which the audiobook's great if you guys want to listen to it, but definitely like
So good.
So talking about a bit about that, we can talk a little bit about the cocaine ring, and then we should probably touch a bit on the abortion ring. So.
One last interesting thing that they dropped out about Sasha is that they kind of dropped the whole that both Franny and Sasha were looking at using like their previous knowledge of each other for blackmail.
Yes! I freaking love that. Where he tries to blackmail her and she's like, bitch, I have no shame. Also, I know this about you. And he's like, oh shit.
Also, side note, the fact that Sasha's sister wanted to sleep with Franny and was flat out like, I mean, I could come to bed with you too. And he's like, I don't think she swings that way, but like I can check.
I know. Okay, yeah. Which first, guys, your siblings, maybe I don't care if you're sharing someone, maybe not at the same time. That's just a little too Lannister for me.
Also, that was his sister in the book.
Yes.
And in the TV show, his sister has been killed. His sister died.
Because in the book, it's his mom. It's their mom who died of cocaine addiction. So they simplified it and just made it his sister, which works. But you bring up a really good point that I feel like we need to address. This book was published in 1989. Holy crap, is it incredibly LGBT friendly for a book that was published in 1989. I had done some looking up, and the first reform against LGBT discrimination didn't occur until December of that year, and it didn't go into effect until like March of 1990. So you've got that, which, oh shoot, I lost my, I had a great, I just realized when I updated, I closed everything. Oh wait, that's fine. I'll remember it off the top of my head, maybe. Haha! point being is that, like, that's kind of huge for her to just, like, flat out, she's not even, like, alluding to it. It is literally, Ellie, I think her name is?
Mm-hmm.
Ellie just freaking flat out says, I want to sleep with Franny, she's fucking hot. And you're like...
And she also says to her mom when when the princess makes some comment about her marrying, she's like, I don't like men.
And you're like, oh my gosh. And she's not, like, evil in any way. And I'm like, are you telling me we have a very openly lesbian character who is admittedly not, like, a main character, but we have an openly lesbian character in a book that was written in the late 80s. The 80s, of course, being a very turbulent time for the gay community. You had the HIV/AIDS epidemic. You had Margaret Thatcher being an asshole up in England. You had the U.S. Basically saying, you know what, we're not adding sexual orientation to our discrimination laws. And, and the Catholic Church, which basically was like, if you're gay, you're evil. So you had all this stuff that was going on in the 1980s. And then you have Carrie Greenwood, who admittedly, it's Australia, like, we didn't get these books till later, so I don't know how widespread it was. But Carrie Greenwood, who even in her own country, the first reform didn't come until after she'd published it, was like, no, I'm gonna have this. And it's not necessary to the story in any way, she just put it in there to put it in there. And I was like, what? Freaking good for you.
And it wasn't used against the characters.
It wasn't.
No, it was just kind of there, and even Franny's like, cool.
I was slightly worried that might be a thing, like that they were going to do evil lesbian with Lydia. But because Ellie was there, I honestly would not have minded as much if that was a thing. Because it wasn't like, the only gay character here is evil. But then you end up finding out, no, Lydia's asexual, and she doesn't like to be touched by anyone. And you're like, oh, interesting. Okay. And I don't...
an interesting change.
Yeah, and I don't feel...
Also, in general, I so rarely see asexual characters, ever. Like, and it's not addressed. It's not addressed in a, I just don't like sex kind of way. It's a, well, you see this person has, and it's a third party, like, analyzing another character. It's never like the asexual character just being like, this is not a thing for me.
Yeah, and I feel like even though it was a thing that motivated her to, like, get rid of, like, it was kind of used against her in a really funny fucking way. But I feel like it wasn't a thing that was, like, it's not why she was the way she was.
Right.
Like, it did motivate one of the many reasons why she freaking hated John, which I'm like, but you know what, if any, like, it doesn't matter. He tried to force himself on her. We'd have hated John anyway. Like, even if she was into that. I just feel like we need to take a moment and appreciate, literally, that they get get advantage over Lydia basically by making her uncomfortable and fucking. Like, can we just, I kind of suspected there would be sex scenes in this book just based on how, like, sexually independent and free Franny is, but I laugh so much at sex scenes in books in general, but I just love, on a weirdly endearing note, that that Franny's like, hey, she's really uncomfortable by sexual touching. So, and obviously not, like, being like, we're gonna touch her, but, like, we're gonna make her super uncomfortable, and that's how we're gonna get the upper hand. We're gonna fuck in front of her.
Also,
it's one of the strangest winning moves I've ever read in a
Right?
book, and I kind of appreciate it.
But also, the first time she's in the Turkish bath.
Oh, yeah.
The girl who's, like, washing her back and her chest, and then gets really interested in the area between her legs, and she just goes, no thank you.
Yes!
And the girl moves on, like...
And it's just this, like, completely... I'm a little floored by how progressive I feel like this book is in regards to sexuality, and in a way that doesn't feel like, lesbianism or girl-on-girl action, whether it's, like, bi, pan, whatever, isn't fetishized for the enjoyment of heterosexuals.
It's treated as very much, it's just the people are there.
Exactly,
It didn't feel forced, it didn't feel as though they were super important aspects of any of these characters. Yeah. They were just how they were.
It was just a thing of like, oh, is this a thing it's apparently offered there? And she's like, no thanks. Doesn't get super offended, is just like, meh, no, it's not for me. You're like, I love this! I love the way so far that this book treats sex, or rather sexuality. Because the sex scene with Sasha, I just giggled all the way through. As I'm just like, nipples has been said like 8 times.
It's true.
And I'm just
nipples
like,
is used a lot.
He's really into the nipples, which, hey, good for you, man. But I'm just like, all right, just giggling through it, going, tee-hee-hee-hee, because I'm secretly a small child.
Okay, next time when I read book 2, I'm just going to have to, like, keep a nipple tally.
A nipple tally. We can add that to our Now Kiss tally. There won't be one, by the way, if you're listening, in this particular instance. Now Kiss is something that I have begun shouting every time I watch Miss Fisher, because not in this show or even in this book, because Jack and Franny barely interact really in this, and we'll get to that in a minute. There's so many moments where the sexual tension, you could just cut it with a freaking knife, and you're like, oh my god, just kiss! Just kiss! And it's been a big frustration, and that we would talk about just in little text back and forth, and you could tell where the other person is, with just like, why haven't they kissed yet? I'm like, I don't know, I'm sorry!
End of season freaking 2.
I know, I'm sorry. Alright. So the cocaine ring is being done through the bathhouse, which is the same as it is in the book and the show. Madame Breda actually has a sister, which they simplified and just made it Madame Breda, which I feel like is a very smart move. It was kind of a little confusing, to be honest. I'm like, Madame Breda, how do you not know that cocaine ring is being done out of your bathhouse? I mean, how attentive of a businesswoman can you possibly be?
Hugely attentive.
Right? So you're like, okay, so I understand that change. And here's something that I understand why it was clunky. Because the abortion ring, which is kind of a tacked on sort of feeling extra mystery going on in the book, where in the show they connected it because John Andrews was forcing himself on the maids, and Alice, who is in both, had been forced on, and then she went and she got an abortion where she'd gotten through Madame Breda and gotten the connection, and so that's how they'd sort of done it. And it felt a tiny bit clunky because it didn't seem to fully tie that off of like what exactly that Madame Breda's relationship was to Lydia Andrews in that respect. I feel like in the show it was a little but I
feel in the series, I think that Madame Breda probably purchased from Lydia, because we know that she passed on cocaine to the doctor as sort of extra payment, I guess.
Yeah, it's so weird. So I don't, and it was. She kind of alludes to it. She kind of alludes to it with, like, you know, Madame Breda got rid of your loose ends for you, that, you know, because John was philandering and like fucking these maids. Which I think was just them trying to be like, let's try to connect these a bit more. Because Franny was a lot more hands-off in the book in regards to solving the abortion ring. That was really more of Jack's domain. Yeah,
she passed on the information to help them wrap that all up.
Yeah, found that out because of Burton Cess, because Dot has never met Alice in the books, doesn't know her, didn't work with her like she did in the show. I feel like that was a nice way to concisely bring them together, to be honest. Yeah. And Burton Cess. Burton Cess.
Cess talks so much more in the show than he does in the book.
Yeah, God. He's a very silent man.
Like I went back and rewatched the pilot last night, and I was like, Cess says so many words.
Which isn't saying much, because he still doesn't talk a lot, but I feel like that should give you an impression, if you haven't read the book yet, how little he talks!
He's nods
really
and goes,
silent. Because I think all of the characters towards the end, when he starts talking, he talks about something, and everyone's like,
you can speak? What?
I loved Burton Cess's relationship in the book, though. Like, how much more explained it got.
Like, I feel like there's more... You get a bit more idea of the rapport, whereas obviously in the in the show, it's a bit truncated. Like, you still get it over, I think, the course of the 3 seasons, but I feel like when you get to the point where he actually asks Alice to marry him, because at the end of the book, he does ask Alice to marry him, and Alice is like, ask me again in 6 months. Which is the cutest scene ever, because he comes out grinning like an idiot, and you're just like, oh, Sess, you cute little cinnamon bun! Ugh!
Does Alice show up again in this? I'll find out.
Yes.
Okay.
But I think for just, like, 1 episode. Anyway, point being, I feel like, and Zoe will know the episode I'm talking about, when they are going to get married, and Bert is a little like, you're gonna abandon me. There's more, I feel like there's more
description though.
I know, right? He does.
If you're not watching this on a video, like if you're listening to the podcast version of this, Kiri just did this great like old man angry shuffle imitation, and it's so perfect.
Because that's just Bert. And he's just like, oh, I'm gonna lose my best mate to a woman, meh, to a bird. As he would say. And I feel like that gives it more context, but I'm very, very excited to see where that goes, because they're just great. Franny gets to pretend to smooch him real good.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm like, that didn't happen in the show ever.
And Bert was like, I'm super okay with
yeah,
this.
He's like, I am so okay with making out with Franny Fisher. Hell yeah.
Yeah, when I came across that part, I'm like, is there something? Is there a story arc here that I'm going to miss in the series?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just like a fuck buddy. I don't know. Probably not. Just a little make out.
That doesn't
thing.
seem like Bert.
I feel like I'm just gonna put this here. At some point, because I've got blank spaces on either side of me, we will have. I'll put the tallies. I'll go back and look for the word nipple. And we'll get an exact nipple tally. Just a side note, because I'm looking at my notes, and Des has graciously put in now kiss tally and nipple tally. So the tallies will appear if they've not been previously counted. They will appear in the after post. Oh, put them back in post. Anyway,
things you hate yourself later for saying.
Nipple tally in post.
Okay, here's something that Kiri, you might be able to solve. There's a wine that I think that's mentioned in the books towards the very end that amuses me.
Why do you have a pipe and a magnifying glass just available to you?
Who do you think you're talking to?
Why don't I have a pipe and a magnifying glass?
I mean, good point.
Who do you
Also,
think you're
why am
talking
I
to?
devoid of these objects?
Wine, sorry, what?
Yeah. There's I like one of the quotes towards the end, but I have no idea how 2 of the words are read. But Miss Fisher's guests were arriving. Dr. Macmillan was refusing what reads like Veuve Clicquot or something. It's a wine, I expect, and demanding a little whiskey.
Oh, I don't know. That's a little too French for me.
Yeah. Wait, how is that
It might.
spelled?
Oh, you know
I
what?
had the Google.
It might be a kind of champagne, though,
Yeah.
because they were drinking champagne at luncheon, and it was a celebratory thing, so it might be a type of champagne. Or Prosecco. Fuck.
But I enjoy that everyone in the book, everyone's drinking whatever this is, and Max just like, whiskey please.
No, this is ridiculous. I won't. I shan't. So, briefly touching on the abortion ring. She's looking that up for basically Sess at this point, because she's become somewhat good friends with them through that. Gives the information to the inspector, who she meets because someone tries to frame her for having cocaine. We do not have Constable Collins yet.
That's true.
Constable Collins is
I had
nowhere
noticed that.
to be found in this book. Instead, we have Constable Ellis, who is found out to be a dirty cop, because apparently Lydia threatened him and bribed him at the same time to plant this cocaine to try to get Franny in trouble. And that's really the only interaction we have with Jack Robinson, with him and Franny, and we'll talk a bit about their relationship. I will say, I am amused that the first time they meet, Franny drops her fucking robe and is like, if you're gonna arrest me, you're gonna do it like this. And I'm like... And I can just see Nathan Page's face in that moment, even though Jack Robinson in the book is obviously also younger. I still see Nathan Page doing that face. I'm just like, that subtle surprise of, like, nothing really surprises me because I've been in the Force forever, but also, hello.
I love the fact that her trump card is as much sexuality as I can possibly throw at you until you freeze.
It really is. Like, at least especially in this first book, it's just like, this is all I got, and that's fine.
I mean, it comes up later, like, in the TV show, there's a point at which she threatens to strip with, like, 5 other women in public.
Oh, that's right.
And, like, she gets through, like, 2 gloves, and she's staring at Jack the entire time, and she gets through, like, 2 gloves, and they're like, no. Nope. Okay, we believe you. It's fine.
Because it literally, back then, I mean, you had the thing where you either had the flappers or you had the people who were like, down with freaking booze, and, like, you had the very extremes, and I think because we hang out with Franny so much, we forget that she's not really in the majority most of the time. And it's just like, frickin' A!
But yeah, there's not a whole lot with Jack other than him trying to arrest her.
Yeah.
And then her exposing his dirty cop. Like, that's about the limit of their interaction.
Yeah, they don't really have much going on. So there's not a kiss tally. Even in the show, there's not a now kiss tally because they flirt like crazy back and forth.
He does see her naked in this episode. Because they break down the door of the steam house when
that's right.
Sasha have been locked in.
She's in a towel, but yeah.
She's got a towel.
He sees Sasha naked.
She steals his towel. Can
we just appreciate... Like, don't get me wrong, I love the let's have sex to make her uncomfortable thing, and I understand why that got changed for a multitude of reasons. Not just because we can't fucking film that, but also, this is too ridiculous. How are we going to, like, show that that's what this is? Because we haven't had the time to set up Lydia and her ridiculous, like, thing. But I love that you've got fucking Sasha just being useless and being like, I must lay down. And she's like, Sasha, wake up! Takes his towel so she can grip this really hot steam thing and push it back the other way.
I'm going to point out, though, she had a towel of her own. She could have used her own. She just chose to steal his.
I mean... Why use your own towel? I mean, I probably still would have stolen his. Like, you want protection. You're getting close to steam. You'd want protection on your bits. I get it. But also, he's being useless, and so why not, right? Like, he's not doing... Wake up, Sasha. Fucking wake up.
He was so useless.
But that reminds me, is the idea of nudity in this show happens quite a bit. You've got the women in the bathhouse, you've got Sasha's naked rump, and I think that's the only ones they really show in the show, but one thing I'll
probably a random woman's butt.
Oh, Franny in bed, but you never really see anything, but yeah, she's implied to be naked. And one thing I will say...
there's a woman that
you see.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say about the nudity here that I'm very impressed with, it's never done in a sexual way. Like, it's just there's nudity that's happening. Like, it's... I never feel like anyone's really objectified. And I'm like, well done! Mm-hmm. Well done! Like, the closest I would say is like, we just took off Sasha's fucking towel. But even then, it's like, it's Sasha passed out. It's not like we're going, and here's Sasha's butt. Like, you know, we're not having an ass cam like in, anyway, I'm not even going to talk about that. But it's not like butt. It's just in the background of like, no, Sasha's useless and we've stolen his towel. And in fact, I think for the most part, her head is blocking it when she, like, the door opens. But it's like, it's just so ridiculous, and I love it, and it's so great. So great.
But yeah, it's true. I feel like everything with sexuality is treated either as just this is just a thing, or it's a product of the situation, so it's not put a focus on.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I feel like both her writing and the show do that really well, and I'm like, awesome. Yeah, right? I think that's fantastic. And kind of proves, look, you can have a main character who is a woman, who is very sexually free, and not make all her scenes that involve that literally about, like, look, tits and ass, and where, like, for some reason, her sexuality then becomes our pornography. And I was like, well done, show! You go.
I'm also, and again,
well done.
And I am curious just because, I mean, Kiri and I are both American. Like, I don't know if there is more of that in Australian cinema or TV in general. Like, if that is handled better than it is in American. Because in America, it's very sexualized and it's very voyeuristic.
I've not watched, I don't watch huge amounts of Australian TV anymore. Mostly because a lot of it's not as available online. But most of the stuff where a lot of Australian TV is more stuff designed to be on between like 5:30 and 6:30 in the afternoon. It's, you know, like Neighbours, Home and Away, are my main experiences with it. And they're more supposed to be family-friendly shows.
Fair.
They're our equivalent. They're like more towards like Your Bold and the Beautifuls. But like less over the top and more straight.
It's not hard.
Are you saying that our soap operas are a little unbelievable?
Are you saying there are soap operas in general that are believable?
I mean, no. Totally. I saw one where, like, there was a woman who, like, was a witch and had a daughter who spoke in thought bubbles, and then also there was a guy whose evil twin was trying to kill him. That was a very weird soap opera. It's Passions. And I know it because a friend of mine in high school was, like, obsessed during the summer watching it, and I'm like, this is so weird. Why are you watching this? Let's go do something. I know we live in Spokane, and there's nothing to do, but surely we can find something to do.
The weirdest thing I've seen is in Bold and the Beautiful, which I feel like it tries to take itself super seriously.
Oh, definitely.
I stand by that a character died, her ghost showed up, like, a year later, and then she showed up again. And I'm like, I thought we saw your ghost a while ago.
That's very confusing. You sure she wasn't being her own twin? That happens a lot, I hear. I don't know. Anyway, back to Cocaine Blues. So yeah, I am very intrigued about what's going to happen. Zoe, would you like to share your hopes for book 2 or the series in general from here on out? What's one thing you're really hoping to see?
I think honestly I'm really hoping to see an arc with Dot. Like some kind of development, because her arc in the show is slow, especially at the beginning, but it is so distinct and so well done. In terms of, like, she doesn't just suddenly wake up one day from, like, I don't feel like I can go dancing because it's a sin, to, and yes, and now I'm going to clean a gun and I'm going to put, like, it's not a sudden jump. It's a very gradual, motivated thing. And because it's so distinct, it's distinctly different in the book. I'm really hoping to see some development for her in some direction, and that she gets the chance to have an arc.
Des, what about you?
I'm very much on board with that, especially because I've not watched season 3 yet. And I am loving Dot's, like, development over the series, how she goes from that for lack of a better term, good little Catholic girl, to getting to the point where she's like, I'm kind of tempted to call off some stuff because I don't want to give up my life with Franny.
Right? And just kind of, like, also at one point threatening, kind of blackmailing her priest to be like, maybe I won't do these things for the faith that you need me to do because, I don't know, I'm thinking about converting to Protestant because of my boyfriend. And he's like, wait, well, maybe we should I'm like, you friggin' blackmailed a priest. Okay. I am kind of madly in love with you right now, Dot. Yeah.
Oh, she's so adorable, and I love it.
I think that's one thing I'm a little sad about, is I feel like she's less cute right now, and I'm like, I want little cinnamon bun Dot, but maybe that will come about. Because she seems a little bit more harsh around the edges.
Yeah.
And not in a way that's how she is later in the book, in the series, where she's like, I'm standing up for myself. It's more of like this weird, like, I don't trust anyone, and man, I'm weirdly, she seemed kind of a little bit, I don't know if it was judgmental of Franny with Sasha, or if it was just, I don't trust this guy, but I don't know. There was something about, like, she kept giving Sasha the eye, like the evil eye, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm curious how this is going to play out in the next book.
Yeah. Oh, why do I not have context? I need to when I highlight things, actually grab like entire paragraphs so I know why I highlighted it.
That would be good.
I've literally got something which is just from the book, which is Dot shut her eyes and commended her soul to God. And I don't remember why she did that.
It probably is something to do with Sasha, to be honest. Let's be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Where did I put my tablet?
I don't know.
I can't answer that for you.
I would say what I'm really interested to see is how relationships continue developing. I am very curious about if we're going, like, since we don't have the Murdoch foil bit so far anyway, I'm curious if that's going to affect Jane as a character.
Oh, I know why.
Oh, tell us.
It's when she's in the car with Franny.
Oh, that's right!
Oh, right!
Franny's freaking driving. Where we first run into her car that she's going to end up buying, and I forget the name of it. Because I'm a terrible person.
It's a really nice, like, is it either Spanish or Italian car?
Oh, yes, it's a Spanish. It's a Spanish, frick. I have terrible
Probably
names. No, it's not a Spanish frick. You're right. We've got that. Oh, it's so good. I feel like there's so much great stuff going on. I'm excited to see Mr. Butler.
Hispano
Suiza. There we go. Yeah, Hispano Suiza. You're like, yes. Friggin' love that she's already got, but she's looking to purchase it, which in the second episode is when the Hispano Suiza first shows up.
Because isn't that the car that she buys for Bert and Cess?
No, it's the car she buys for herself that they're going to Ballarat on the train for.
Right.
So that's their reason for getting on the Ballarat train, which is the second episode, which...
I don't know, Ballarat's, I thought, is book 3.
Oh, maybe they've got one in between then.
Yeah, there's book 2, which I don't know how it lines up. I was looking at this morning or last night. Let's see if I still have
because I believe the second episode is the train to Ballarat.
Further on the Ballarat.
Yeah. Book 2 is Flying Too High.
Oh, interesting. All right. So,
which, best I can tell, doesn't line up to an actual episode.
Interesting. I will look at that and we'll see.
But this might be the Aeronautical Club, actually.
Oh. We'll talk about that
in a bit. Anyway, sorry.
So interesting. Yeah, we'll look into that. And obviously, I will post on my blog which book we're reading next. But in the episode, Murder on the Ballarat, you've got Mr. Butler is first introduced, which I'm very intrigued to see. Tobias Butler, I believe is his name. I'm like, oh, how are you different? Is Jane gonna still be in there? Like, will she be showing up? And I'm just really curious how these relationships are going to develop, especially, I'm also curious about Franny's personal development, because I feel like we've started her at such a very different location, and I'm just a little intrigued how that arc is going to be, or if there's an arc, because I feel like you've got similar episodic books like this where, like for instance, you've got Poirot, didn't have a huge arc throughout because they were very episodic books. Sherlock Holmes, for the most part, didn't really have a personality arc shift because, again, it was like about the individual stories. So I'm just curious how that's going to progress.
I'm kind of curious if Jack and Franny are going to have a different relationship in the books.
I hope not. I really hope not. Because I feel like you wouldn't introduce them. I feel like he wouldn't show up in book 1 if you weren't planning on eventually making it. I'm kind of hoping that the reason we don't get too much of Jack Robinson in the first book is because even Carrie Greenwood was like, let's draw this sexual tension out forever.
I'm actually, like, overall, like, outside of just the next book, I'm really interested to see how her father plays into it, because later on he ends up being so important to so many things in the story. I'm really curious how he ends up factoring into the book, or if that is something that just got added.
Yeah, I'm very curious to, like, her family tree in general, so... Do we have any closing notes that we'd like to add beyond that?
One last quote that I want to bring up.
Okay, yeah. Ooh, I like this. I like this idea
really
of us bringing up a favorite quote. Maybe Zoe and I will have to snag some quotes next time for ours.
Yeah. Suppressing the matter of suppressing the matter of the poisoning of Lydia Andrews, which Franny now regarded as an excellent idea.
Oh, can I just say, all right, that is one thing I do really love about the book, is the ability to have Franny's inner monologue. And that Franny's inner monologue is just pure sass and is having none of this shit.
She has no time for anyone's high society bullshit. Sorry, what was that,
also,
yeah.
Sasha was undoubtedly an idiot and one who would take the prize at any competition of morons of the Western world. But Franny had lain next to him and had conceived a deep affection for that flesh, now being maltreated behind the hybrid wall. She literally,
he's a dumb fucking dumb. But he's really pretty and good in bed. Oh, Franny, I love you so much. Oh, and George Sanderson. Robert Sanderson.
Yes.
I'm really curious about how Robert Sanderson's going to play out. MP. Robert Sanderson, MP, is going to play out. So those are our thoughts, our feelings, on episode 1, book 1, Cocaine Blues. Thank you so much for joining me, Zoe, and Des to talk about this. I'm really excited to dig into the next one. Zoe, where can people find you?
I am at _Zungirl_, which I need to change so I'm easier to find on the Twitters. And I have a Patreon thing that's just my name.
Des, where can people find you?
You can find me on both Twitter and YouTube as Dezzles. On Twitter, it's mostly just posting about random stuff and quoting Avatar: The Last Airbender too much at the moment. Aside from that, you can find me talking about books and stuff on YouTube as well.
Fantastic. And I, of course, am Kiri Callaghan, who's just realizing for my first time that I probably didn't introduce myself at the beginning of this podcast. It's all new, and that's okay. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook under Kiri Callaghan. You can find me on YouTube. Basically, if you just friggin' Google my name, which, if you're looking at the YouTube version of this, you're already on the channel. So welcome. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you join us next month, where we will be going over book 2. You can check out my blog, kiricallaghan.com, where I will be posting the next book we'll be reading, just in case there's any confusion. And if there is an episode that correlates with it, there might be, there might not. I'm really excited to see. Anyway, thank you so much for watching or listening, and we love you. And don't forget to stay curious. Bye!
Bye!